Wally West is the absolute Flash. But how exactly did that happen? This is the Comicstorian Complete Story series, where you get audio dramas of your favorite comic books, allowing you to decide what to go out and add to your collection. Today, we finally get to see Wally West's origin as the Absolute Flash in the new Absolute Universe. This is Absolute Flash, Issue 1 by Jeff Lemire. I hope you enjoy. Somewhere in the desert, lightning cracks on a sunny day as Wally West suddenly comes to a stop. His mind is racing at super speed, thoughts falling over one another as he thinks too fast. He looks around quickly. His body seemed to vibrate instead of moving like normal. He doesn't know what he's done, what's happened. He just knows that he messed up badly and that it's all his fault. Energy begins to crackle as he looks down at his hands. They seem to vibrate in place, creating afterimages. His thoughts racing as he begins to have a panic attack. Suddenly, he screams in pain, clutching his head as he falls to his knees. He needs to slow down. Just breathe and slow down, he thinks to himself, just like she taught him to. But when he opens his eyes, he finds himself on the train tracks, where he was 2 days ago. Wally begins walking along the railroad tracks through town. He knows where he is and who he is. He's Wally West, the 15-year-old, and he's completely alone. He passes some teenagers hanging out by the fire, but he doesn't bother going to say hi. Wally's always been an outsider. Cutting through the woods, he finally comes to the gate of Fort Fox, the military base where his father is stationed. This is a restricted area, one of the gate guards tells him, holding up a hand for Wally to stop. But Wally pulls out his ID. "You know you're not supposed to be out this late, kid," the guard notes as he checks the ID. "Your dad catches you, he'll have a fit," the guard continues. But Wally is saved as a familiar blonde man steps out. "At ease, I can escort the prisoner from here," Dr. Barry Allen says, reminding the guard that everyone was young once. He should just cut Wally some slack. He motions for Wally to follow him as the two walk away from the gate. "Thanks, Dr. Allen," Wally says quietly to the friendly man. Barry shrugs as the two make their way through the streets of Fort Fox, with Barry telling Wally that he understands the harsh reality of being an army brat and always moving around. Finally, they come to the West House, and Wally heads up the steps. But Barry calls out to him before he can go inside. "Hey Wally, you want to see something cool?" Barry asks. Wally ponders it for a moment before nodding and walking back down the steps. Shortly, the two are walking through the more restricted areas of the base. "So, your dad tell you anything about what we're doing here at Fort Fox?" Barry asks. Wally shakes his head, explaining that he and his father don't really talk much since his mother died. "He and I really don't have much in common," Wally explains. Barry nods as they come to a security door. He places his hand on the pad and it opens with a chime. "Yeah, me and my old man too," Barry tells him. The two walk inside and Wally is amazed by the strange lab. Some glass pods are lined along the walls, with research monkeys staring out at them from behind the glass. "What exactly are you guys doing down here?" Wally asks softly. "Project Olympus is, well, I can't tell you everything, but we're working on the very razor's edge of physics and biology. But that's only the beginning. Where we can go from here? Well, we're breaking new ground every day," Barry tells him with excitement. They come to Barry's workstation and he sits at his desk, explaining that he thinks Wally is too smart to just be sneaking off post and that he should come down and help in the lab. "Maybe you can work part-time down here every once in a while," Barry suggests. But Wally shakes his head. "I mean, that would be awesome, but my dad would never let me. Besides, isn't this all like super classified?" Wally asks. Barry smiles. "I can pull some strings. I'll even talk to your dad. I'm sure he'll understand," Barry says. But he looks up sharply as a new voice joins them. "No, I won't," Colonel West says as he enters the room, glaring at them both. "What the hell are you doing down here?" the Colonel snaps at Wally. "They called and told me you were caught sneaking back in," he continued. But Wally shakes his head. "I wasn't sneaking back in. I just went for a walk in town and lost track of time," he explains. But Colonel West isn't having it, and the two begin to argue back and forth, an argument they've had more than once. Finally, Barry steps in. "Colonel, I was just showing Wally around. Thought he might get a kick out of some of this stuff," Barry says. But the Colonel glares at him. "You know damn well the civilians are not allowed down here, Alan. You're lucky I don't report this," he snaps before turning back to Wally and ordering him to return home. Now, Wally is back sitting in the desert. His mind and body have finally slowed down. He thinks back on that day, realizing that he should have never gone down to the lab with Barry, that he should have just run away when he had the chance. Suddenly, he looks up. There's a dust cloud approaching. They are coming for him. He turns and starts running, heading for a nearby cave. A V-shaped drone buzzes overhead, watching him. "Positive ID, Wallace West. Do I have permission to attack? I can take him and save us a lot of trouble," Harkness reports. "Negative. Return to the unit," the captain orders. Nearby, the vehicle comes to a stop, and the squad departs. "So, what'll it be, Captain?" Harkness asks, his boomerang drone circling overhead. Captain Snart steps to the front of the team. "Jesse, Lisa, split up and flank him. Harkness, you and I are going head on," Snart orders as he puts on his glasses. "We take him alive, for now," he orders. Inside the cave, Wally is still running, but his body suddenly seems to vibrate again, and he cries out in pain as he closes his eyes. But when he opens them, he finds himself 1 day ago, on his bed, playing his guitar, when suddenly his father comes into the room. The anger has passed, and the Colonel sits on the edge of the bed with his son. "Look, I just want to talk about last night, about what you saw in the mountain. The work they're doing here, it's dangerous, Wally, and I need to be here, but I also need to keep you safe," Rudy explains. But Wally's heard all of this before. This is an argument that they've had before. He stands up, snapping at his father about the things that he needs. "And what am I supposed to do, Dad? Sit in my room and just wait for you to get new orders so we have to move again?" Wally yells. He suddenly whirls back on his father. "At least Barry showed some interest in me, saw some potential in me," Wally snaps. But Rudy suddenly stands up. "Barry, you are not to talk to him again, you understand me?" Rudy snaps at his son. Wally glares at him for a moment before snapping a sarcastic salute. "Yes, sir," he says before running out of the house and into the rain. He stops for a moment before looking down at the puddles around him. Suddenly, there is a strange flash of an image of Barry yelling in pain. Lightning cracks in the distance over the mountain, and Wally starts to head in that direction. Inside, he calls out for Barry, but is met with only silence. He walks through the chamber with the strange glass pods and jumps back as one of the test animals slams against the glass, screeching at him. Wally runs out of the room and into the main chamber, but is shocked to find the strange machines activated. Barry looks up from the center of the room, where he stands in a strange orb, wearing some sort of suit. He looks at Wally with wide, surprised eyes. "Wally, get away, son! Go! Run!" Barry shouts. As Wally hears Barry tell him to run, he finds himself back in the mountain. He can hear Snart and Harkness in the darkness behind him, but the two soldiers stop short as Snart draws his weapon. "The kid is close," he whispers as Harkness's boomerang drones fly off into the darkness. But Wally is still running through the mountain, his thoughts racing as the events from that day play in his mind. He knows he messed up, but he needs to slow down. He needs to breathe. But he suddenly stops and collapses to the ground with tears in his eyes. "Barry," he whispers. Nearby, the body of Barry Allen is already decayed to a skeleton, still wrapped in the strange suit. "You did this, Wally. You killed him," he thinks to himself. Flash forward to 1 year later. A mysterious figure steps through the rubble and debris of the mountain lab. They stop in front of a computer system. "Access to Project Olympus archives requested. Password, Blue Trinity," the figure says. The computer takes a moment before the screens flicker to life and show images of the lab. Images of Wally West sitting with the research monkey, holding up the strange suit, and apes wandering into a destroyed city. The figure smiles as he looks up at the images. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, time to make this whole world fall," the mysterious man says with a smile. And that is where we end issue 1 of Absolute Flash. Now, I won't lie, this story was written in an interesting way that left a lot up to interpretation. Was Wally West having flashbacks, or was he going back in time? I'm sure we'll find out for sure in future issues, but you can leave your theories in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like and subscribe for more complete stories here on the channel. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny. You would have loved this.